it's real important. That fresh, hot sign is almost more important than the amount of sign. Because if you think about it, after a deer in a group of deer has been browsing on white oak acorns in one spot for 2 weeks, there's going to be sign everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be like, man, this is the ticket. I'd rather find that rub that is bleeding. That's like, that sucker got made this morning.
Is that something that even to you, even today, now family, spouse, everything going on, that timing still something that you really kind of pay attention to instead of just hunting whenever and however you can?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like I brought up the acorn example a while ago. If it's early season and you're in a bunch of fresh sign, fresh rubs on the tail end of the white oak acorn crop, you got to hunt that spot right now. People are worried about getting in there and blowing stuff up, but if you're hunting in big wood scenario where deer move around a good bit, they're on those white oak acorns for a very short period of time. So you've got to get at them right now. You might throw an aggressive setup at it even if it's 80 degrees because the deer's literally bedded in the woods 60 yards from you. He's going to stand up and start feeding on acorns 30 minutes before dark. And people are worried about blowing those deer out. But I'm not hunting him in that spot in 2 weeks. When he starts running scrape lines and moving closer to doe bedding towards the end of October, then I transition to scrapes on the edge of thick cover. And I have setups for those, for various winds and various conditions, and know how to get in and out of those spots. And then that transitions into the rut, when scrapes start drying up a little bit and bucks are just going A to B. Maybe you're not looking at these pounded deer trails anymore. There's just this one spot where there's 2 or 3 rubs strung together along the downwind side of this cedar thicket. And you don't think much of them rubs. There's not much of a trail there, but one buck is going to come through there every day between 8 and 4 in the afternoon during the rut. He may be this big, he may be this big, but he's going to come through that spot. And I'd rather be sitting on that spot, on that X, and have that one deer do that at 10 yards than sit somewhere and see 15 of them at 200. So timing plays a huge role. I'm thinking about like scrape hunters, for example. Like you're talking about people that are building brownie points beforehand. If you have a lot of success hunting deer over scrapes and harvesting them over scrapes wherever you're at, and that strategy really works well to you, then build on that. Take your vacation not during the rut. Take it at the end of October when they're heavily scraping, and you've got 10 of these community scrapes found that are along the edges of these doe bedding areas. You catch that at the right time and you hunt all those spots at the right time, you're probably going to get a good opportunity. I love scrapes for that because it puts the deer on a spot when you're bow hunting. And it may not work very much, but boy, when it does, they come in, they're preoccupied. If you got the wind coming from you to them, they are in trouble because you can get drawn back. It's just, it's like they're coming to a bait pile almost. They're coming to that scrape. Now, they may come in there some intricate ways that you need to be aware of once you blow it a few times, but that timing is a huge thing. And then it moves even, after the rut, it goes into post-rut and then late season and so on and so forth. But I'm always thinking about that. People will constantly go out there in mid-October. White oaks start falling in the end of August, early September in a lot of places where I've hunted. It may be different down south. You all have got a cascade of species. I've hunted nuttalls real late down there and had tremendous success over them. But white oaks up here, they're leaving gobs of rubs and deer poop and deer sign in those white oak stands in early September. Season in Missouri starts September 15th. Guess where everybody's at towards the end of September? They're hunting all that sign in those white oaks, and they're thinking like, wow, there's deer poop everywhere. There's rubs everywhere. There's got to be 10 bucks in here. And they sit there and they don't see a deer for a week. Well, that's because they were there last week. They've transitioned to, they're feeding on this wetland browse down here below this ridge somewhere. Or they're on the last stand of green soybeans on the shady side of that field down below when all the rest of them turn yellow. Those types of things are happening all throughout the fall. And the older I get and the more traveling around I do, the more that becomes evident. It's real important. That fresh, hot sign is almost more important than the amount of sign. Because if you think about it, after a deer in a group of deer has been browsing on white oak acorns in one spot for 2 weeks, there's going to be sign everywhere. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be like, man, this is the ticket. I'd rather find that rub that is bleeding. That's like, that sucker got made this morning.
Yeah.
You know, he's here.
We're fighting over a question here. How do you deal with, you need to put boots on the ground and you need to scout and you need to find that hot sign, but also not being overly invasive and burning your spots up, like walking through them and bumping the deer and whatnot?
I don't worry about it. The more I do it, the less I worry about it. Unless I'm hunting a very small property, hunting a specific deer or something like that. If you're getting into that stuff, then that's a different ball game. But as far as just killing deer, which I think will ultimately aid you in killing more mature bucks as you get older, I do not mind spooking deer. I do it in a certain way though. So scout into the wind, and if you bump deer out in front of you, and scout strategically, like if you're going up through what you believe is a bedding area or around the edge of it where you're getting into a sensitive area, I want the wind coming to me. I want those deer to hear or see me and get out of there. I do not want them to smell me. There's no guarantee that they're going to come back, but if I get up in there and I can see the whole picture, if I can see where those deer are bedded, where they ran to, where the sign was at, the feeding sign that they were leaving coming out of that bedding area, then I can recycle that and find 5 other spots that look similar to it. I can repeat that situation across the landscape. Also, if you bump a nice buck out of there and he goes in one direction, you know, flagged up, and he's just kind of bounding away, he's going to go 300 or 400 yards away and settle down in the next bedding area. Don't push the issue then. You know, just say, okay, he went that way. I scouted a spot over there last March. I'm going to hunt that spot in the morning. Or I'm going to hunt that spot tomorrow afternoon. Maybe he'll stay over there. And maybe I'll find the same situation that's right here over there, or a similar one that I can execute.
So bumping deer doesn't bother you?
Not really.
Now, what about on the small property side?
Yes. Yep. Hunting here on my place, if I go walking back here right now where y'all seen that doe a while ago and I bump the deer off the edge of that clover plot, they won't be back for a week. I can sit up here at the house and watch them all summer. But as soon as I go down there to hunt and I get in that bottom where that wind swirls, whoo, I ain't figured it out yet. But hopefully in a few years I will. That's a different ball game because you're bumping them off the area where you can hunt them. So you got to be more strategic about that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the example you just gave. You know, if you're on a big property, it could be a big hunting club or a lease or public, but if you've got options where he runs to that next area, that next bedding area, and you can go over there and you can still hunt him over there, that's a lot different than, you know, if you've got your little section and that's all you got. And we get the question all the time about people who are like, I've got 8 acres. Like, what should I do? I'm like, don't bump deer.
Don't bump them off of that. No. But think about your timing too. Mm-hmm. It's like people get so hung up on like, I can't go in the woods. I can't go in the woods. I can't go in the woods. You got to learn it. And it takes years to learn it. I'm telling you, I mean, I spent thousands of hours out there and I don't know nothing. I mean, I'm picking up little bitty details at a time on these areas. It takes decades to learn a 150-acre property, let alone thousands and thousands of acres of public across the country. So timing is a big, big deal. You bump a deer out of a spot on October 1, he probably ain't going to be there anyway on October 30th. He might, but his interests are different at that time, and his diet is different at that time. More than likely, like the key food source that he's using. So I don't worry about it too much. I mean, if I'm trying to get to know an area and I'm a weekend warrior and I've never been in there and October 1st rolls around, I'm going in to get the intel on October 1st so I can kill one on October 15th.